From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, the program that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. Students on campus, members of the community, people doing good things. I'm Nicholas Kratzel, and joining me today is the Dean of Health Professions and Natural Sciences, Dr. Maria Isaza. Welcome.
Thank you, Nicholas, for having me.
For sure. So, how long have you been the Dean of Health Professions and Natural Sciences?
I'm actually a new dean. I just became the dean in July of 2021. So it has been roughly 9 months since I became the dean.
Wow. And you taught before that here?
Yes, I came to CCM as an instructor in 2007. I was hired as an adjunct, which is a part-time instructor, and then by 2008 I became a full-time professor. So I was a full-time professor from 2008 until 2014 in the biology and chemistry department.
Wow. So during that time between 2007 and the time that you became dean, you've always taught in the science field?
Yes. Okay. So my background is in microbiology, but I also taught other courses that were needed, like general biology and genetics. But most of my time, I was teaching microbiology.
Wow. So you obviously went to school for in the science field.
I actually am a CCM graduate. Okay. I came to CCM in about 1993 as a part-time student.
Oh, okay.
I studied here studying ESL.
Oh, wow.
Yep, English as a second language. I wanted to change careers at that time. I wanted to get a job. So I came to study medical lab technology, which is actually a program that we don't have anymore.
Okay.
But that was my goal. As I started doing that program, I actually fell in love with biology. I liked always science, but for some reason, once I was here, I really enjoyed learning about biology.
I bet.
And then after I graduated from CCM in 1999, I went to College of San Elizabeth, which was something very close to my home.
Okay.
And then once I completed a bachelor's in science in biology, I went to UMDNJ, which actually is not here anymore.
Yep.
Now it's Rutgers.
I was going to say, I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, that was 2002 or so. It became Rutgers, and that's where I did a PhD in oral biology and biomedical sciences.
Wow.
And I specialize in, I did a concentration in genetics, microbial genetics. So that's how I ended up coming to CCM to teach microbiology.
Biology is an interesting field. I know when I was in high school, I never enjoyed science. And I was not a fan. I did horrible in chemistry. But then when I had taken biology my junior year, I loved it. And even when they had to introduce chemistry into biology, I did not mind it at all. So I get it. It's a great field. And
I think
everyone needs it.
Yes, I think we all find a niche, right? We all find something that we like. To me, microbiology, I love it. I love to learn how these tiny organisms and also others such as viruses, how they work, how they interact, and not only among themselves, right, but most importantly, how they interact with us.
Yes.
And we tend, unfortunately, especially now with COVID, we tend to think of them as bad.
Yes.
But in reality, they are not.
Yeah.
They are an essential part of ourselves and also of our universe, our Earth, right? The planet will not be the same without microbes.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about all, like what happens, like you said, COVID, other viruses that will attack you in a negative way. You always need people, professionals, to help with that and medicate you and get you back to, your normal functioning life.
And biology is at the center of that, right?
Yep.
Because you can think of, we need doctors, right? They need to be trained. They need to know about biology. We need our nurses, right?
Yep.
Our respiratory therapists.
Yep.
All of them, they need some of that biology.
Yes.
And that's what we do here at CCM.
Yeah, and I mean, in the medical field, doctor, nurse, you need everyone. You need everyone no matter what their profession is, so it's great that people get into science. I'm sure it's tough at times to understand, but it's really good that people are into that.
It is not easy, especially here at CCM. Our health professions are very rigorous, but we are very proud of them because our nurses, our respiratory therapists, our radiographers, they all go through a rigorous training to get to where they need to be. And they pass their licensing exams with flying colors.
Yes.
And we are extremely happy and extremely proud of them.
Yes, that's great. In terms of biology, how many students that you have taught did you see go into more of the researching field compared to rather like the medical field, like at a hospital or in a doctor's office?
It is very interesting because I personally think that it's kind of split,
Yep.
half and half. We have some students that they want to go into research, and I see them. I am extremely proud of some of our students going to Cornell, for example. I also have other students that want to pursue other fields. You know, they go into physical therapy, or they're going to the environmental science, more into the hands-on part of the profession, not necessarily the research. So it is kind of like 50-50.
That's great. Have you ever, like yourself, participated in working in the medical field?
Only when I was a student here doing my medical lab technology. That's where I did a little bit of that. I went to do my clinicals at the hospital, and I had to draw blood for some patients, but it was limited.
Yeah. And for people that don't know what they want to do when they get older, would you advise them to go into the scientific field or the medical field, perhaps?
So that's a very good question, right? What do you do when you don't know what you want to do, right? And I think our community colleges play an essential part on answering that. I particularly have an experience of my daughter, for example. She didn't know what she wanted to do. And then she came to CCM and she found a path to follow. So when the students are not sure where they want to go, I think it's important for them to attend CCM, for example, and be able to try different options that we have available. Perhaps the biology, right?
Yes.
Biology will give them an idea if they want to go into the medical field. We also have our health professions in case that someone is interested in helping others in that particular field.
Of course. I mean, I can attest to this, but I know when you're younger and you don't know what you want to do, you always think, how much money am I going to make, and what's going to, you know, how things are going to plan out. But I think it's so important that students find a passion, because no matter how much money is involved or whatnot, because you always want to like what you're doing, you know, and that's extremely important.
I think that's essential, Nicholas.
Yep.
You need to love what you do.
Yep.
I always think about that every day. And I love what I do, and that's why I'm always happy, because I am in the place that I want to be. And you're absolutely right. Students need to find that passion. They need to find what they like, because that's what is going to help them to succeed in anything that they do.
Yeah. I guess no matter the field, too. Science, criminal justice, liberal arts, any of your majors that you can select from at a college, it's just important that you like what you're doing. And even if you switch it, I guess it's okay, because, you know, it's going to be your career.
That is fine. We know that students can switch many times, and that's important because that provides them the opportunity to feel, right?
Yep.
Different opportunities, different paths that might lead to something that they really fit well and that they're going to love doing.
Yes. And it's great, because here at CCM, the people are very accommodating. The workers here are very accommodating to students wanting to switch their major into something else, because they know as well as the students that, you know, you want to like what you're doing, and it's no matter what the cost is. It's good to do that.
Absolutely.
If you want to.
We always welcome students to try different areas, and then once hopefully they'll find that area that they want to concentrate, and then we will continue supporting them.
Yep.
But it's important that students have the flexibility to move from one major to another when they're looking for the right fit.
Yes. So when you found your passion of, you said biology, did you know if you wanted to go into that, or did you know that you wanted to teach right off the bat?
So teaching has been always an important part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came from Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
and in Colombia I was a middle school teacher. And when I came here, obviously, as a new immigrant, that was not going to be a possibility. So I didn't really know what I was going to be able to do until I came to CCM, first looking for a new career. And then as I was able to progress in my education, I realized that I wanted to give back, learn what I learned. When I went to St. Elizabeth, I was a tutor there. I tutored all my peers. When I went to UMD&J, I served as a team leader, and I also tutored my classmates. And that made me realize that, hey, perhaps I can teach. And that's exactly what I did. In 2007, when I was almost done with my PhD, I emailed my instructor here at CCM, and I said to her, Dr. Isaza, do you think I can go and teach a class at CCM? And she said, of course. And that's how I came and started teaching.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Now we're going to take a break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I'm Andrea Lucia, a graduate of County College of Morris. At CCM, I gained a high-quality education, was involved with clubs on campus, and performed university research in tissue engineering. My CCM education prepared me for ongoing success. Today, I am at Cornell University, studying engineering and performing research in cardiac tissue engineering. The professors and staff at CCM helped me to start right and finish strong.
Welcome back to CCM All Access. I'm Nicholas Kratzel, and we're here with Dr. Maria Isaza. So, before you had mentioned that you immigrated here from Colombia, can you expand on that?
Of course. In 1990, I came to the United States from Colombia. As an immigrant, we all come here to get better opportunities. And that's exactly what I did. I was, in a way, very lucky because my dad and my older brothers, they have immigrated before me, and they came to Morristown. So my father resided in Morristown, and my brothers, they live in Dover.
Okay.
So when I came to United States, I came to Morristown. And as a new immigrant, we had to do whatever we have to do to pay the bills. So I started working in different jobs. I worked at a factory. I was doing some cleaning in an office building. I went to cook at a restaurant. And as I was doing different things, I was learning also the language, because in Colombia, I went all the way up to my high school, right? I finished high school in Colombia, and we learned English, but it's very different. It was more like the grammatical,
Yes.
not necessarily being
Certain
able
phrases
to
and-
correct,
right.
to speak it. So when I was learning a little bit of English, I actually went to some of the local high schools and did the program at night.
Okay.
So I got to the point where I was ready to come to CCM, and that's what I did. And the fact that I live in Dover, which is like 5 minutes from CCM, it was very convenient.
Yes.
So I came to CCM. I started learning, as I mentioned before, ESL. I still am in contact with Mr. Kadur. He's one of our professors here.
Oh, okay. He taught you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He did. So
that's very cool.
I'm very appreciative of what I learned. And not only the part of the subject, also it was a very nice experience because it was me trying to learn a new culture. And CCM did that. Not only taught me the language, but also the culture, which helped me to continue where I wanted to go after CCM.
That's great. So I want to come back to the immigration story, but before that, the programs that you had talked about, you taught programs at night, like you taught English or you taught Spanish?
No, I actually was a student. Yes, I was a student.
Okay.
Yeah, so
at a high school, and they were teaching you the English language.
Yeah, so at local high schools, right? Whether it was Dover High School or in Danville, they will offer night programs for students.
Yes.
It was a basic ESL, and it was important for me to learn that basic. And eventually I was ready at a level that I was ready to come to CCM to continue the ESL program.
Yes. Learning a language is a great skill, another one, rather than the one that you obviously learn to speak when you're younger. Obviously in Europe and parts of South America, people speak over 5 languages in some circumstances, so it's great, hearing people, whether they're a natural English speaker learning to speak Spanish or a Spanish speaker learning how to speak English. It's phenomenal, and it's hard, it's time consuming, but it's a great skill to have.
It is not easy, right? It's not easy to learn another language, but it's beneficial to be bilingual, or even if you have the opportunity to learn other languages as well.
Yeah. So with the language factor, when you were immigrating here, was that hard when you didn't know much English, was that a hard transition?
Of course. Oh, yes. I think that's one of the hardest things, right? Trying to express yourself. You want people to understand you, and it's not that easy. But I think it's important that as an immigrant, you kind of suffer like that, because it makes you realize how important it is for you to learn the language and also to learn the culture of the place that has become your home. Yes,
it's great that you said that, because I think with any skill that you're learning, like we talked about before, whether it's in the science field, but specifically with language, the harder experience you have with something, it's going to make you push harder to get better at it. And I think that's great. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, horrible in a way that people that immigrate to any country have to deal with the language barrier, but it's important because it'll influence them to learn more.
Absolutely. Right? And you have to. I think that's an important part as an immigrant, that you need to learn the language. And also, again, as I said before, the law of the land, right?
Yes.
The culture. And that's going to help you to then progress in whatever you want to do at that particular place.
Absolutely. So going back to your department, so can you tell me more about the School of Health Professions and Natural Sciences?
Of course. So we are a school, right, that has the health professions and it has natural sciences. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the health professions first. So here we have our nurses, we have the radiography department, we have paramedics, which actually is a new program, and I'll tell you a little bit in a minute. And we have our respiratory therapy program. So these are programs that have as a goal to help our community. So most likely these programs are very competitive. It's not easy to get into those programs, and we have many applicants and a limited number of seats for the programs, which makes them very competitive. The programs have as a goal to educate our healthcare professionals. Most of the, or I will say 50% of the nurses of Morris County have been educated by CCM. And especially now with COVID-19, our healthcare professions have become very important and essential in our community. So as CCM, right? CCM is very proud of doing what we do, right? Educating and having our students become the professionals of the future.
Yes.
We have paramedics, which is our newest program. They just started about a year and a half ago, and this is an association with Atlantic Health, and we are very proud of what is happening. We are in the process of growing the program, and we know that it's going to become a very successful program as our other health professions. On this side of the natural sciences, we have biology and chemistry. As we mentioned before,
Yep.
biology is essential in the creation of scientists, but also other professions as well. Many students that want to be in the medical field or they want to go into physical therapy, they will start there.
Sure.
In biology. We also have chemistry, essential for pharmaceutical, as well as we have other programs in the biochem department that are career oriented. We want students to come to the program, do 2 years, and be ready to work at an entry-level technician position. We also have landscape and horticulture technology. That department is responsible for training our landscape and technologies, the people that take care of our lawn, but also goes beyond that. They can learn how to design, right?
Yes.
And create beautiful gardens for their clients as well. We have the exercise science department.
Yes.
There we have different programs. We have certificate like personal training certificate, and we also have exercise science major and a couple more degrees like public health and occupational therapy.
Wow. So with COVID, hopefully, and looks like it becoming a thing of the past, will that be implemented into the programs, teaching people like about response and dealing with something new that hasn't been around before or something of that nature?
So I think it has been incorporated already, right?
Oh, okay.
Because in order to run our programs, the students and faculty, right, they had to adapt
Yes.
to the circumstances that COVID gave us. So, for example, nurses, they had to learn to do things in a different way, right, because of COVID restrictions. And that applied for all of the health professions. That is true for respiratory therapy,
Yes.
and so on. Even for our sciences, right? Now, COVID-19 is a must subject in our courses, right? We discuss it. We have to, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because you look at like a virus that's been around for however how long, whatever how long, and it's known. Like people know that it exists. People probably know the benefits and obviously the downsides of the virus existing. But with COVID, it's a completely new topic, and people need to study it. Like you said before, the study of organisms and how things work in biology. It's bad that COVID's around, but it's almost a good thing in the medical field because it's something new to study.
We are certain that COVID-19 is going to be a topic that is going to stay with us for many, many years, and in many different ways, because as we mentioned before, like biology, right? we learn about viruses. Even in public health, how did we react? How did we control the pandemic? So it's going to be with us, and as an institution, as a program, most likely we're going to need to continue not only teaching about it, but also adapting and learning from it, right? What did we learn about? How did we do this during the time?
Yep, the response.
Exactly.
Yes.
And hopefully we're not going to have something.
Have to deal with it again.
Exactly.
Yeah, or something close to it.
Correct.
Yes.
But if we do, then we'll look back and say, this is what we did during the time of COVID.
Gotcha. Well, Doctor, I want to thank you for coming on today and teaching us about your department and your story.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This has been another edition of CCM All Access. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.